What's up, everybody? Dan Sports News here, bringing you the 11th episode of the Dan Sports News and Friends podcast. You can follow me on Twitter and Facebook at Dan Sports News, Instagram at I am Dan Sports News to catch all my articles, interviews, and latest news in sports. Today's guest is Romeo Travis, who is a professional basketball player overseas. He also played with Lebron James back in high school at St. Vincent and St. Mary's, and gives his full story on playing basketball there and his career now. Check it out. Let's start in the beginning. How old were you when you first started playing basketball?
When I first started playing organized basketball, I was in 7th grade. So 7th grade, what is that, 12?
Right.
12, 13 years old. It was the first time I played organized basketball. I started playing football at 8, though.
Oh, so football was the first sport you started playing?
Yeah, football is my first love. I actually like playing football more, but I'm just better at basketball.
So when did you stop playing football and decide to pursue basketball?
My senior year was my last year playing football. I had to make a decision if I wanted to go to college to play football or basketball. I had bigger scholarship offers to play football, like bigger schools, I should say.
Okay, wow. So when you were 12 years old, you started playing organized basketball. Did you play AAU basketball?
I played AAU going into my freshman year was my first time playing AAU, so I was like 14.
Right. And I know LeBron and the other guys, they were on a different team, so did you ever play against them before in AAU basketball?
Yeah, we used to play them all the time, and they had a better team. We used to lose quite often by a lot, but I always played well against them, and they always had a lack of power forward when we were growing up. So everything kind of just came together going into my sophomore year, where they had a spot open at power forward for their AAU team, and they also had a spot open at power forward going into the next year at St. V. So it all kind of just came together like that.
Okay, so did you play at another high school before you went to St. V's?
Yeah, my freshman year, I went to a public school here in Akron called Central Howard.
And you played basketball there?
Yeah, I played a little varsity there, sparing minutes here and there.
And then you decided to transfer? You decided to transfer, or did you move?
Yeah. No, I transferred. I actually moved, but I just transferred because it was a public school, a private school, so I didn't have to move out of the district. This is before you had to move out of the district to change schools.
Right. So, I know they called themselves the Fab Four, but then they added you and it became the Fab Five. What was it like playing with them throughout your high school years?
The first year it was different. I never really kind of played with guys who were close. It was kind of more so we come to practice, everybody leaves, goes out their separate way. With these guys, they were a little bit closer. They were always together, always hanging out. And, it was more camaraderie off the court. And so that was different for me at that time. And so that was like the first year. It was more so like I'm here just to do me, and I still have my friends back, at my old school and stuff like that. So I would just go back to my old school and hang out with those guys on the weekend my first year. And then as I got older and I started hanging out with the guys more and more, and so I started to become a part of that, camaraderie.
Right. So, what was it like playing a tougher schedule? I assume you played tougher teams once you went to St. V's.
It was more difficult. It was definitely more challenging. But for me, I was more so ignorant to the fact of, who guys were and things of that nature. So I was just like a lace them up and let's play kind of guy. I'm not here for the big names. I don't really care about that. It's just, let's just lace them up and play. Whoever's in front of us, we don't have to beat them anyway. So it doesn't matter who they are.
Right. So I guess, I know rankings aren't as big as they are now as they they weren't as big back then as they are now. So it didn't really faze you who you were going against.
Only thing that really was a guy that played my position that was ranked higher than me. There were a lot of guys ranked higher than me coming up. I wasn't thought of as a Division I prospect my first sophomore and junior years, and so that kind of bothered me. And so I would see those things. They came out quarterly, not like bi-weekly how they do it now. So it was more so quarterly. So every 4 months they would drop one. Every 3 or 4 months they would drop a new, rankings. And so anytime I seen a guy who was rated above me, I would really try to make a point to outplay him.
Right. So what was it like playing with LeBron in high school? Did you realize that he was going to be as big as he is now? Did it just...
Nobody could guess he was going to be that big. He was always really good, but nobody could guess he was going to be as good as he is now. The thing that always you try to realize though, no matter who we played, no matter where we played, he was always the best player on the floor. And so that right there kind of dawned on me that he's really, really good. And on the next level, I didn't know what he could do on the next level, but he obviously went up and dominated as well.
Right. So how many championships did you finish? How many state titles did you win in your high school career?
I won 2.
Right, and then it was one national championship in high school also?
Yeah, my senior year.
Right, and I know you said you didn't pay attention that much to the rankings, but we all know about the game against Oak Hill. What was your thoughts going into that game, or you just didn't pay attention, so you just played basketball?
No, they had an Ohio guy on that team by the name of Ivan Harris, and Ivan was ranked, pretty high, top 100 in the country, power forward, lefty, and he had already committed to Ohio State. So that was a pretty big game for me personally. Because of Ivan, and Ivan's a great guy, good person, all that stuff, but he was ranked higher than me, and so that kind of offended me. And so that was a big game for me.
Right. Now, I know the movie More Than a Game. I haven't seen it in a while, so refresh my memory. When you got to St. V's, was Coach Danbroth the coach, or was Drew Joyce already?
He was still the coach.
Oh, so
I played 1 year under Keith.
So yeah, what was it like playing under him and then eventually going on to college with him?
It was difficult for me because my first high school coach was a players coach, very nice guy. More so of he came off as a friend more than a coach. So he would talk to you, no yelling, no cursing, none of that type of stuff. When I got to St. V, it was a lot of cursing, a lot of yelling, a lot of, stoppages practice to correct your mistakes and things of that nature. And it was difficult for me to make it through the first couple of weeks of practice.
Right. And then what was the transition like when Coach Joyce took it over?
Coach Drew was similar to Coach Danbroth, but minus Coach Drew doesn't curse.
Okay. So
he was similar.
Right. So at the next level, talk to me about the recruiting process after high school. You ended up going to Akron. Which other schools recruited you and were on your radar?
I had a couple mid-majors. Butler was on me at the time. Wright State, Cleveland State, the teams around here. But Coach Danbroth was pretty much telling guys if we were on the same level, I was going to go to Akron. And that's what I told Coach Danbroth. If I don't go bigger than Akron, I'm going to go to Akron. And I was going to sign between Akron and Robert Morris. And the day before I signed, Coach Danbroth called me and said, "Just sign the damn papers." I didn't take a visit. I didn't go on campus or anything. He just said, "Just sign the damn papers." So I signed and I committed to Akron.
Right. So just a little bit back with the football stuff. So you said you continued playing football all throughout high school, or?
Yeah. I played my last 2 years. in high school.
So which position did you play, and were you recruited?
Defensive end and tight end. I was recruited for offense. I was recruited as a tight end / slot receiver.
Wait, so didn't LeBron also play football at St. V's?
Yeah, he was the number 2 receiver in the country.
So he was on your team, right?
Yeah, our junior year, we lost in the state semifinal game.
So do you think that he could have played in the NFL for sure?
But he was really good. At the high school level, he was really good. So he was bigger and stronger, and he had moves. So I don't know many other guys who at his stature could play like that, but he was really good.
Right. So also Shion played football. So you, LeBron, and Shion also were dual sport athletes in high school, playing football and basketball.
And Willie McGee.
Oh, so Willie played football also.
Yeah, Willie went to college to play football.
Oh, okay. Right. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So college basketball, I know Drew ended up playing with you at Akron. What was college basketball like for you? The transition from high school to longer games in college?
High school to college wasn't a big transition. It was just difficult for me to kind of balance for so much freedom and not as much structure, and we had to do everything we had to do on our own. So it wasn't as much like somebody watching over you, as more so how much do you want it. And that was the biggest difference for me. And our style of play was different. We ran more of a structured offense. It was more so kind of like the motion offense, but back screen, re-screen, down screen, flare screen, that nature. So it was just different. And it wasn't so much harder. It was just different.
And was it good for you to play with someone that you knew in Drew Joyce, that you played with him in high school also?
Yeah, having someone you're familiar with in college is I think is great, and it was a good transition for me. Somebody that I was familiar with, and we kind of helped each other get along that first year because there was a lot of difficulties playing under a new coach, being in a new system, and it was definitely challenging, but it was exciting as well.
Right. And at Akron, you finished top 10 all-time in points, rebounds, and first all-time in blocks. Is that correct?
Yeah. They broke my record in blocks already, but
oh, okay. Right. So after the college years, talk to me about the draft process. Did you expect to get drafted? Were you shocked that you went undrafted?
No, I wasn't shocked that I wasn't drafted. When I came out, the power forwards were 6'10", Tim Duncan size, Rasheed Wallace and power forwards. So I didn't really expect to get drafted. I knew my route was going to take me overseas.
Right. So did you ever try for the D League or Summer League? Because I know guys
I played in the Summer League 2 years.
Right. So what years did you play Summer
League?
But
the first 2 years out, 2008. And I played to. For me, I feel like I gave up too early. I probably should have kept going back and kept trying. If I had one of regret in my career was I probably should have kept, trying to be in the NBA, because once the game changed to smaller power forwards and the game got smaller, it kind of fit the way I played, and I wish I would have kind of kept going back.
Right. So you've never tried to go back to the Summer League, or is the NBA just not on your radar anymore at this point?
No, I mean, now definitely not. I'm 34 years old, so I'm kind of, content with my career and the way it went, and I'm not really focused on that.
Right. I do know, because there are some overseas guys that I have followed their careers, Jerome Randall and Justin Denman. I think they're around your age in the 30s. I know they've gone back to play summer league the last few years, so I know you could still play summer league even in your 30s. So yeah.
So I still try, but those guys are the guys who've been connected to the NBA and played in the G League and been playing summer league for all these years. I haven't played in G League ever, and I haven't played in summer league in 10 years. So for me, I'm kind of very distant from that. So I don't even see the point in that for me at this point in my career.
Right. Did you ever try the D League at the time, or any tryouts like that?
No, I did not. When I came out of school, I had a daughter already, so I could not play. I couldn't afford to play on a G League salary at that time.
Right. So talk to me about overseas basketball. Your first year playing. What was it like playing overseas, and how was that?
My first year was very difficult. My first coach didn't like me. The GM picked me, but the coach didn't. And so if you never played basketball, that's a horrible situation because, when somebody who's not coaching you wants you to play and somebody who's coaching you doesn't want you to play, then that's automatically a power struggle, and the coach is not going to like you. So the coach, he didn't like me. He really particularly didn't care for how I played the game, which was his preference. And so my first situation was pretty difficult. And I played probably about 2 minutes right before halftime. And he would say, "Go change the game." And I'm like, how am I going to change the game in 2 minutes right before halftime? But that's what my first situation was, and that was very difficult for me. I left that situation and went to another team, and I played there. The coach had ultimate confidence in me. He loved my game, but the team went bankrupt.
Wow.
And so I had to leave that. So I had to leave that team, and then I go to a team in Mexico, and I stay there for 8 days. And the guy I'm coming to the place has 27 points, so the owner gives me $500 and the plane ticket and tells me thank you, but no thank you. And so now now I'm on 3 teams in 6 months, less than 4 months. It's January, and the season starts in August. I mean, you leave to go in August, so that's 4 months. And that's my 3rd team already. And so, needless to say, I was frustrated, and I was fed up with basketball. I was turning down deals left and right, and I went back to school. Actually, I went back to Akron U and started working towards my degree. So then Drew Joyce called me every day and told me I wasn't happy, told me I still had a lot of game left. And then his coach asked me if I wanted to play for his team in Germany, and they sent me a standby contract, which I haven't heard of since, which is just to stay healthy, and if somebody gets hurt, they can automatically just add me on the roster without any questions. So I had signed a standby contract. On Monday, a guy gets hurt on Tuesday. I'm playing in the game on that Friday. So my life changed that fast. So I played at Division I Germany my first year to end my first year, and I ended up playing 10 games there. My last 10 games of my rookie year.
So you ended up being reunited with Drew in Germany, you said?
Yeah, we played together the first 2. Well, the last 10 games of the first year, and then the second year we played on the same team.
Well, that's actually impressive to play with someone in high school, college, and the pros, because even in the NBA, that rarely happens to play with someone at all 3 levels. Was it good?
Yeah, it was 8 years in a row.
Wow, impressive. So after that Germany team, where did you go next after that?
I played on a different team in Germany because I fired my agent, and I was dealing with a foreign agent, and he kind of suckered me into a deal that I felt like I deserved more, but I took a sucker deal, and I signed with a team in Germany. And after that year, I had a pretty solid year, but the team wasn't that successful. And then I went to Israel for 2 years, and then I went to Croatia, then Ukraine, then Russia, then the Philippines, then France, then Italy, and then back to the Philippines. And now I just finished in Thailand this past year.
Wow. And it's been 17 teams you've played on in 12 years, correct?
Yeah.
So, how is the journey like that, and how do you stay dedicated to playing through all that struggle of going different countries? Is there ever a language barrier that comes into play with all that?
Most countries have someone who speaks English. Most of the coaches here speaking, coaching English, or they have a translator. So it's pretty. The language barrier on the court is not as bad as just off the court. Russia, Ukraine, a lot of people outside of basketball didn't speak English, so that was difficult living in those type of places. But other places, most people speak English, and so the language barrier is not as bad. And then just being in all these places, the hardest part is trying to play well without being selfish. Stand out without sticking out. You want to play well, do your part, help the team, but you also want to keep the ball moving and be unselfish and kind of, play a role. And that's one of the most difficult parts about it.
Right. And I saw you once scored, was it 50 points in a playoff game in the Philippines Basketball League?
Yeah. Over there in the Philippines, it's a little different. There's only one American, and so they kind of want you to just be the offensive guy sometimes. But most teams that have good Filipino players, they just want you to come over there, play well, and help them take their team to the next level.
Right.
And but sometimes that includes scoring a lot of points. Sometimes it doesn't. But that particular game, they needed me to score, and so I'm just happy they were going in.
Right, and they actually have a D League out there in the Philippines, right?
Yeah, they have a D League. They model their league kind of like the NBA.
Right.
So they have a D League for guys to come out and try to make their way up to the PBA. So it's similar. They model it after the NBA, I should say. Not similar, but they model it. They try to make it as NBA as possible.
Right. And you guys ended up winning the championship that year in the Philippines?
Yeah, I won a championship in France and in the Philippines in 2018.
So you've won 2 championships so far in your professional career?
Yeah, 2 league championships. They have other things like the French Cup. I won the French Cup. But just league championships, this was my first 2.
Right. And I read that you became naturalized by the Macedonian Basketball Federation. Can you talk about that and what that process is like?
Basically, you play for the national team. I had an opportunity to be naturalized by the Macedonian Federation, and they wanted me to help their national team, try to qualify for FIBA. So they wanted some reinforcement. They allowed to have one, non-Macedonian born player on the team, and the situation just presented itself. And the coach watched me play. I happened to play EuroLeague the year before, and I played pretty good at EuroLeague in that short span of time that I played. And he just offered me a position on the team, and I accepted.
So if Macedonia had ever made it to the FIBA World Cup or the Olympics, you would have been on their basketball team?
Yeah, I would have been able.
So did you ever go against USA or any teams in qualifiers?
No, I played in a qualifier, so we played against Great Britain, Hungary, and Luxembourg.
So you didn't play any NBA players, or maybe 1 or 2 guys in the NBA on?
Just Ben Gordon. Ben Gordon played for Great Britain.
Okay, wow. So, what would you say was your favorite country to play for? Or also...
every country's different. Every country offers something different, different experiences, and I don't really want to say a favorite, so to speak, but my wife really enjoys the Philippines. France was a very easy country to live in. It's more like, Western to get around. Germany was great. Israel was amazing. Croatia, the food was awesome. I mean, it's something about every place. So I really can't pick a place. It's just every place is different. You just gotta, figure out what you like about each place.
Right. So, which team would you say was so far the best situation that you had in your career overseas?
Uh, uh, the Philippines. When you play the Philippines, you're the only American. So, that's the ideal situation for any basketball player where, it's all on you and you got a chance to really make the team as best as possible. And so that's what in France when we won a championship in Le Mans, that was a great situation. We had a great team top to bottom, and it was just an awesome year. And we had a lot of adversity, but we ended up competing and winning the championship. So that was one of the best situations overall.
Right. And what's the situation like overseas with your family? Do they stay in America or do they travel
Um,
with you?
my wife comes for 2 or 3 months, and then she goes back for 2 or 3 months. So she goes back and forth. We let the kids go to school in the States, and then we let then she homeschools them the other half of the time. So I commend my wife for everything that she does because I know it's very difficult to travel back and forth and to have different situations with the kids. So, for being able to, teach them sometimes and let them go to school sometimes. For everybody, every situation's different, but for her to do that is amazing.
Right, for sure. Now, you just signed with Thailand, correct?
I just finished in
Oh,
Thailand.
you just finished. So are you going to go back to Thailand or you don't know for sure?
I don't know where I'm not sure where I'm going to go next.
Okay. I did see that you will be playing in the basketball tournament this year. Did you play in it any of the other years?
2017 was my first year, and my only year that I played in it. I played with a VCU team, and so that was a good experience. I only played one weekend though because I got married that year, so I couldn't play the next weekend. But this is going to be a different experience because I'm helping put together the team. I'm a part of seeing the guys that we want to be on the team. So I think it's a good situation. They're going to have a good roster, top to bottom. More importantly, we want to have good guys. So and that's what we're looking for is good guys. Some good teammates and some good people. Winners or drawers. It won't be a bunch of nonsense.
Right. I know they have lots of NBA players, some NBA players playing it, overseas guys playing it, former NBA players trying to get back into the league playing it. Do you know if there are any scouts at the games or anything that help overseas guys like you try to find another team or something like that?
I mean, there's been a lot of guys who've been getting a lot of looks, even a couple NBA with TBT. A lot of people watch it, and it's, I think it's getting more and more important to even just be a part of it because it's, people are watching, and there's more and more forms of basketball, and the more forms there is, the more, opportunity for you to show your ability. And so there's no wrong time to show your ability, especially, in a respected situation as the TBT.
Right. Yeah, I think they're doing a great job out there with TBT. They have games broadcasted on ESPN also to help guys get more exposure out there.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great situation for TBT for everybody. If you're involved and can take it to that, Final Four weekend, the exposure you're going to get is unmatched.
Right. Now, back with high school, with LeBron and all that, how close are you with LeBron and all the other guys you played with now? Are you guys still friends, close, or have you gone separate ways?
We're still friends. We still talk in the group chat probably 2 or 3 times. Probably a couple times a month. We're in the group chat, laughing at the current news and just talking. And so those are the type of things that we're going through right now. So I think it's just normal friend stuff, normal adult stuff. Everybody's life is different. We can't be, up under each other like we used to be back in the day. It's more so, just keeping in touch and making sure everybody is, doing okay.
Right. So, has he ever asked you guys to be in the new Space Jam 2 movie? Or is that a possibility?
No. I mean, we might make a cameo, but, he's more so if you come out to LA, you can come hang out type of stuff. So we'll just see about that. But we all have families and jobs and stuff like that, so we just can't, pick up and go to LA for 2 months or, things of that nature. Maybe a visit for a couple of days and a weekend, but we all have kids and families, so we can't just, go out there and be on the set of a movie for months at a time.
Oh, right. Well, it'd be cool if you had a little cameo, have the whole Fab Five back for a little something, maybe.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool.
Right. So, what was the whole process with the documentary More Than a Game? What was it like having that constant camera always around you guys?
It's weird that you didn't even realize it because the guy we call a cameraman, or Chris Bellman, he would just set the camera down and then just leave. So it wasn't like a camera just following you all day, all night. It's more so just you would forget the camera was even there because he would just set it down and just start recording and leave. And so it's not what people think. So, but it was strange at first, but then it just became natural because everywhere we went, there was always cameras around us anyway. So it didn't really matter. It didn't make a difference.
Right. Now, last thing before we wrap it up, would you ever consider playing in the Big Three basketball league? Maybe in the next few years.
Actually, I wanted to play in the Big Three this year, but being in Thailand, my season didn't end until after the draft combine, so I wasn't able to compete in the combine.
Oh, okay, right. Because I do know there's some overseas guys who've played in it and stuff like that.
Yeah, I actually was going to go to the combine this year and try out for the Big Three, but like I said, my season didn't end in Thailand fast enough, so I couldn't make it basically. But me not being able to make it gave me time to rest, and because I've been going for 3 years in a row, so it all worked out.
Right. Now, maybe in the next 15 or 20 years, when LeBron has retired, would you ever consider playing with him and maybe Drew also and some of the other guys back from the high school days, reuniting to play in the Big Three in the next 10 to 20 years?
I think that'd be cool. If everybody got together and played together in the Big Three, I think it would be a cool situation. I think it'd be fun to be, back on the same team with everybody.